New national polling numbers show Kamala Harris pulling ahead of Donald Trump in the general election. There's a big difference among voters now that Kamala Harris is the Democratic nominee compared to when President Biden was running against former President Donald Trump.
If you shift it to likely voters instead of registered voters, then she gains 2 points. And likewise, if you put the third-party candidates on the ballot, she leads by 6 with registered voters and by 2 points more with likely voters.
And believe it or not, that is a frightened Donald Trump. He's looking at the poll numbers. And it was a big tell when he does the accordion thing and tells you how great he's doing in the polls. That's a big tell for him. He's not doing well in the polls. He knows that. And so that's another big lie.
Oh, that's gotta hurt.
You know what reeks of desperation? Holding an emergency press conference only to spend just seconds answering policy questions and minutes obsessing about crowd size.
But you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in.
So we're going to let you see the crowds, and we'll be right back.
Hey. Yeah. Wow. Well, you might have seen a few people showed up in Philadelphia the other night. And then 10,000 plus walked into a field in western Wisconsin. But Arizona just couldn't leave it alone, could you? It's not as if anybody cares about crowd sizes or anything.
A new poll out by Ipsos is great news for the Harris campaign in that it shows movement in key swing states toward the Democratic ticket. Specifically, the polled voters in Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada. And it found Harris and Trump in a statistical dead heat, which means they are gaining traction in such a short period of time.
Enthusiasm. We know that Democrats are suffering from low enthusiasm, so enthusiastic about voting. So this is Democrats for Biden or Harris. Look at this. Back in February, just 62% of Democrats said they were enthusiastic about voting for Joe Biden. Look at this now. Woof. Up to 88% now say that they are enthusiastic about voting for Kamala Harris. That is a huge jump. That is a 26-point jump. Look at Trump during the same stretch. Republicans for Trump. It was 80% in February. Look, it's still fairly high at 82%. But compared to February, where Trump had this 18-point advantage, now we see Harris with a 6-point advantage. It's definitely for Democrats. Game on. They are very enthusiastic. We see it in the money being raised. We see it in the volunteer signups. And now we're seeing in the polling as well.
Yeah, and they're hoping that translates.
The survey also interestingly asked voters what they thought of the two candidates. And voters said that they thought Trump was, quote, weird, and that Harris was moral and intelligent.
These are weird people on the other side. They want to take books away. They want to be in your exam room. That's what it comes down to.
Another interesting thing that the survey found was that most voters wanted term limits for the Supreme Court. They wanted an enforceable ethical rules for the Supreme Court, both of which Biden has announced and Harris has endorsed. So good news for the Harris campaign in these latest polls.
Michigan registered voters put her and the former president at 49% each. That's 3 percentage points better than President Biden was performing. In Minnesota, the presumptive Democratic nominee is up and has a 6-point advantage there. They are both tied at 49 in Pennsylvania. And former President Trump has a 1-point lead in Wisconsin. Those results are comparable with the Trump versus Biden numbers. Many of the new polls coming out nationally and in the swing states have been within the margin of error in this new race.
John, Republicans argue the enthusiasm around Harris is manufactured, but the campaign providing us this morning some specific proof points, some evidence of real energy. Not only did she raise $200 million since President Biden announced he would not seek re-election a week ago. 66% of those people are donating for the first time. The campaign also telling us this morning that 170,000 people have signed up to volunteer in the last.
A reporter for Salon went to two different rallies on the same day in Philadelphia, the Vance Rally and the Harris-Walz Rally. And this is what the journalist said about it. Evidently, Vance only spoke to about 200 supporters, including a group of very bored journalists. His event was, quote, small, mean, and yes, weird, featuring the unjustified sarcasm of the candidate and a desperate feeling reminiscent of the mood at a strip mall shop bar at 2 a.m. on ladies' night, end quote. Whereas this reporter said that the Harris-Walz rally felt like, quote, a rousing speech by Coach Eric Taylor of Friday Night Lights combined with the front row of Coachella.
So Arizona, bring that joy with you. Bring those smiles. Bring that positive future as you join me in welcoming the next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. Freedom, freedom, I can't move. Freedom, let me loose. Freedom, freedom, where are you? 'Cause I need freedom too. I break chains about myself. Won't let my freedom rot in hell. I'ma keep running 'cause the winner don't quit on themselves.
This is what we are all seeing. Yes, the reporter in the room who saw those two events on the same day, but we're all seeing it, and Trump is seeing it, and this is getting under his skin.
Listen, I had 107,000 people in New Jersey. You didn't report it. I'm so glad you asked. What did she have yesterday? 2,000 people? If I ever had 2,000 people, you'd say my campaign is finished. It's so dishonest, the press. And here's a great example. I had in Michigan recently 25,000 people, and 25,000 people we just couldn't get them in. We had in Harrisburg 25,000 people, and 20,000 people couldn't get in. We had so many. Nobody ever mentions that. When she gets 1,500 people, and I saw it yesterday on ABC, which they said, oh, the crowd was so big. I have 10 times, 20 times, 30 times the crowd size. And no, they never say the crowd was big. That's why I'm always saying turn around the cameras.
Trump's latest lie to combat the larger rally size from the Harris-Walz campaign is to lie. He's said that the January 6th, what he calls rally, we call insurrection, had as many people as the Martin Luther King infamous speech. Yes, he said he had the same amount. Now, this isn't the first time we heard him lie about rally size. We heard him even at his inauguration in 2017, lie about his rally size, but he continues to do it because he has an obsession. He is obsessed, a weird obsession.
One issue that former President Donald Trump believes he is far better on than Vice President Harris, and he is using it to pitch voters in Georgia.
Crazy Kamala, ultra left, you know that. She was here a week ago, lots of empty seats. It was very boring. I don't need entertainers. I filled the stadium because I'm making America great again. She has to go get entertainers. They start leaving as soon as she opens her mouth.
Trump was complaining that an estimated 10,000 people were at Harris's event that she had there a few days before. I should note they were hosting their rallies in the exact same arenas. As these were happening side by side, you can see both of the images here.
Well, I mean, it obviously bothers him. I mean, let's keep in mind, I sat through his inauguration and it was a pretty empty mall in the Capitol. Nothing wrong with that because people didn't want to travel from super far away, but he was obsessed with that for 4 years in office. And I mean, if you think about, let's think back to when he was president, every day there was some new tweet that wasn't talking about important things like Iran or Ukraine, or it was talking about something that he was offended by that the rest of America didn't care about. So that's what you're seeing. And he talks about Kamala bringing entertainers. Let's be clear. He's got a lot of, frankly, D-list celebrities, and he had a couple of rappers that were wanted on murder charges at one of his rallies. He would have these same entertainers. He's just got, nobody with real star power there. And yeah, I mean, he's obsessed with that and not with talking about how he wants to make America better. That's how he is.
The thing bad for Trump is the polling. The polling is coming back better and better for Harris in the short amount of time she's been in this race. According to the Marquette poll, as reported by CNN, which ended August 1st, even before she picked Tim Walz as her running mate, 50% of likely voters would vote for Harris, 42% for Trump, and 6% for RFK, a marked difference from when Biden was in the race.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.